Joining us this morning to review the papers for the last time, in fact, in 2022, the broadcaster and writer Edward Adu and the anthropologist Mary-Anne Ahotta. Lovely to see you both. We will be with you in just a sec. Yep, be quiet for now, because I've got to get people through the front pages first. Let's have a look at those, and we start with The Sun. They're celebrating what they call the greatest World Cup final since 1966. The Mirror has a warning that from the unions, that the Conservatives are risking lives by failing to avert upcoming strikes by NHS staff. This is not our battle. The Metro, leading with the head of the armed forces, warning that soldiers are not spare capacity to use during strikes. The Express says that nursing unions are willing to compromise over their pay demands. The Eye leads with a warning from paramedics that a delay in 999 call response times is costing lives. A senior NHS source has warned that elderly patients who are fit to be sent home are likely to be stuck in hospital over Christmas because of strikes. That's the front page of The Telegraph. Well, the Daily Mail reports that pundit Gary Neville is facing criticism over his comments comparing striking British workers to migrant workers in Qatar. Border Force strikes threaten misery for millions of passengers arriving in the UK. That's a report from The Times. And the FT says that the rapid spread of COVID in China is causing medicine shortages and widespread illness. That is the lead for the FT. The Guardian leads with a report that workers who made jeans for Tesco in Thailand say they were trapped in effective forced labour. And the Daily Star carries this story, warning that dogs can overheat if they sleep under the covers. Edward and Mary-Anne here to take us through their choice of the papers. But before we do, on each one of those front pages, of course, was a very direct reference to Argentina's success in the World Cup. Just briefly from both of you, because I want to get through the papers. Edward first. The World Cup in Qatar. I mean, obviously England going out in the quarterfinals wasn't great for you, but it didn't feel, to me, as an impartial observer, like a World Cup proper, because the time of year, the location, so on and so forth.
Time of year, obviously the controversy concerning Qatar, of the building and all the politics around it concerning human rights and LGBTQ. It seemed to kind of just go along. Everybody has enjoyed it. I think the matches and also the teams as well, and some of the countries unexpected, like Morocco and Senegal. And I mean, I was expecting England and Ghana to do well and get to the final. That didn't happen. But last night, I mean, what a game. You know, Messi, Mbappe. I was watching the game. I was sort of dipping in and out. And Argentina, obviously, were 2-0. I thought they were going to win. And then I was at work preparing for my radio show, and I popped into the local pizza takeaway around the corner, came back, it was 2-2. It was probably one of the... Yeah. It was a fascinating game. I felt for Mbappe last night. Even Macron was trying to console him, and you could tell... it felt Macron morphed into his dad, probably telling him, this is fine, you can do this next time. This is the first opportunity. You've done well for the country. I mean, don't stress. You've got this. And then you could tell Mbappe was like, listen, Dad, please.
You've mentioned Mbappe. You've mentioned Mbappe so many times now. I really have to read out this quote one more time from Ali McCoist, making direct reference, of course, to someone else who might have scored a hat-trick. Ali McCoist describing Mbappe as the first person to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final where all three were over the line. Obviously a reference to the World Cup in '66. I mean, Mary-Anne, have you been following the football? Because going by your Twitter feed this morning, it's not necessarily your keenest interest.
No. Genuinely, I'm the person who watches the football Men's World Cup. And I'm basically not bothered. When I have a conversation with someone overseas, or I don't know, sitting in the back of a taxi, and they go, "Oh, who's your team?" Then I kind of go, "I don't know, Manchester United, because I grew up in Cheshire." And they're like, "Oh, not Man City." And I'm like, "Okay, no, we've got to stop this conversation here," because I'm like well out of my depth. But even for me, watching the match yesterday, it was really fast. It was so technically skilled, and it was to a layperson, to a person who doesn't care let alone understand the kind of specifics of formations or training plans or who's managing who. It was just a joy to watch because it is astonishing athleticism. The only thing that really stuck with me though was the goalkeeper throwing the ball away right at the end, just before the French
cheeky, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's really unsporting, and you've got this global platform. You've got millions of youngsters watching how you play sport. You follow the rules.
Got to set an example.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you watched the game in which players from both sides went down like a sack of spuds the minute someone breathed on their neck. So I'm all for fair play and all the rest of it, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. However, a bit of breaking news. I am reliably informed by the voices in my head that we have had an update from Jeff Hurst, a response his to the 3 goals scored. Many congratulations to Mbappe. Whatever happens, I've had a great run. Some very fine words there from Sir Jeff Hurst. And look, let's try.
Fine words indeed.
Yeah, well, he's an absolute legend of the game. Absolute legend of the game. And Scotland will, of course, be qualifying for international competitions at some point again in the future.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the sarcasm is dripping from the screen right now.
I feel like Jeff Hurst wouldn't have argued with the referee either.
No,
ever.
They were a different generation, weren't they? Far more polite, certainly not as rich. Marianne, I'm going to go to your final story, in fact, because I'm absolutely fascinated by this one. It's in the Express that the young are binning boozers in favour of ice creams. I knew this generation was boring, but come on, what's this story about?
Hey, you, don't be cheeky. So about a quarter of 16 to 24-year-olds report that they don't drink. And then obviously there's lots of people who, because of their religious convictions, don't want to go into a place that serves alcohol. That's totally cool. Where else would you have gone previously? Maybe a coffee shop, but actually the new cool place to go is an ice cream parlour. There are 43% more ice cream parlours in our town centres than there were in 2017. The winner of this year's Apprentice, Harpreet Kaur, has a chain of ice cream parlours called Oh So Yum. I've never been to one. I'm sure they're great. I don't know. So yeah, like they're these social community spaces where apparently you can take an Instagrammable picture of your dessert, but also hang out with your mates. If you don't want to do that in a pub, that's cool. Times are changing now.
Well, let's link it then to your final story, Edwards. Forget working from home. We're all now working from the pub. Some of us were doing this before electricity went through the roof.
Yeah, this is what people are doing, clearly, is to save money. I'm not sure whether they're able to get everything done, do all their tasks at the pub, but it seems it's the place to be, the place to go to now, and to save money. I mean, many of us are stressing about energy cost, and if you're local, can give you the opportunity to literally plug, play, type, enjoy, have a meal, have a pint, socialise. If you can do all of that, and even grab an ice cream as well, then it seems like the perfect combo.
Pubs have always been a community hub, and never more so than at a time like this. Anyway, I have to say, Marianne, it's been lovely to see both of you, and I'm just wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas when it comes.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
You take care. And we'll see you after this.